Howdy, y'all. Welcome back to Political Academy. As you can probably figure out, I'm feeling a bit under the weather right now, but I'm still putting out videos, so y'all better subscribe because that's dedication. Also, shout out to my very first commenter. I appreciate the feedback. Also, if anyone want to guest spot on the show, just email me at politicalacademy20@gmail.com. I'll take anyone at this point. I really don't care. Also, hit that subscribe button. And while you're at it, subscribe to my subreddit, r/Political Academy. So today's episode, it was originally going to be about the Democratic Party and why it sucks in general. But actually, today's episode is going to be on Tuesday's god-awful debate. I originally wasn't even planning on watching the debate, but I felt obligated to because of this channel. So I'm just going to give you my analysis of it. So, Tuesday's debate. CNN hosted the debate, and to clarify, I absolutely hate CNN, and I am so glad that hashtag CNN is trash is trending. The Bernie Sanders subreddit is no longer allowing CNN links to be posted. I am so glad that people are finally seeing what me and other people have been saying for the last 4 years, that CNN is terrible. I hate it when CNN hosts the debates because their website is absolutely terrible. It's glitchy, it's slow, it has a crappy interface. The live stream would stutter around a lot. And keep in mind, this wasn't just because of my internet. I was watching the debate at the exact same time with my buddy 70 miles away online, and his stuttered at the exact same moments. And don't worry, if you can't watch it live, you can't watch it on YouTube either. You have to go to CNN's god-awful website, where they conveniently split it up for you into 4 different parts, each with 2-minute ads. More about CNN. CNN is corrupt. We know they give Hillary Clinton questions before a debate with Trump. We know that they ask biased questions. You could definitely see this in 2016, and you could see this during Tuesday's debate. The questions were entirely in Warren's favor. I knew from the first debate that the media had already chosen Warren to be the nominee, and no one's going to get in their way. God, I hate mainstream media. So today we're going to be going through the candidates in the debate from worst to least worst. So the worst performance by far was from Elizabeth Warren. Her pathetic smear campaign against Bernie was honestly hard to watch. I know that Bernie never said that a woman can't be elected president. When Bernie rebutted her attack when asked by CNN proceeded to ask Warren how she feels about the statement that he never said. They never used the term alleged when talking about his statement. They confirmed that Warren is above all wrongdoing. And her smearing was just a last-ditch effort to try and beat Bernie for the nomination. It's no mystery why these allegations came out the day before the debate. Warren knows she's just a less appealing Bernie Sanders. There's some leaked audio of what Warren said to Bernie immediately after the debate. She claimed that Bernie called her a liar on national television. I hate to break it to you, Warren, but you are a liar. You lied that you were Native American. You lied that you were the first woman of color professor at Harvard. And you lied about something Bernie obviously never said.
I think you called me a liar on national TV. I think you called me a liar on national TV.
Let's not do it right now. You want to have that discussion? We'll have that discussion. You called me. You told me. All right, let's not do it. I don't want to get nailed. I just want to say hi, Bernie. Yeah, good. Okay.
Also, in this clip, I like how Steyer accidentally got in the middle of the spat between Bernie and Warren after the debate, and all he wanted to do was say hi to Bernie. More about Warren's performance. Even though it really didn't come up during the debate, Warren's views on fracking and offshore drilling is just dumb. Stuff like fracking has brought jobs and wealth into areas where there were none to begin with. If you want to lose places like Pennsylvania in the general election, why not on the platform of banning fracking? And last, for some reason, Warren can't do basic math. She wasn't aware that 1990 was 30 years ago because she claimed that she was the only elected official to beat an incumbent Republican in the last 30 years, but Bernie was able to in 1990. She can't do basic math, and she got all upset when she was called out about it. Second worst was Mayo Pete. I was taking notes throughout the whole debate for this video, and for a bit, I honestly forgot he was in the debate. He really didn't say anything of value. The only thing I can recollect from his performance was the story about the soldier leaving his daughter to go to Afghanistan. It's sweet and all, but he really didn't provide any substance as to what his foreign policy would look like. He also had a little ramble about how rich kids shouldn't go to college for free. I doubt he'll make it to the next debate unless the DNC and the establishment Democrats want to keep him. The third worst was Klobuchar. Honestly, I'm disgusted that she was even in the debate. She continues to poll between 1 and 2% in just about every poll except for the ones that the DNC uses. She is only in the debate because her friends in the DNC want to keep her. And she sparred with Bernie a bit over the new NAFTA, and I'll get into Bernie's response and why it was pretty lackluster. But during the new NAFTA debate, she was able to reel it back into how it affects the working class. But it could really be summed down to, one time I met this poor person. That's really all her response is to most things, is one time I met this poor person, therefore elect me because of my neoliberal views. And by the way, NAFTA and the new NAFTA really doesn't help workers in general. Klobuchar's view on trade really does show the difference between the neolibs and the progressives in the party. The only thing that I was impressed by her was her clarification of where the real jobs are and our need to train people in those fields, specifically healthcare. Alright, moving on. The fourth least worst was Steyer. Keep in mind that I don't like that Steyer is on the debate stage. Like Klobuchar, he shouldn't be on there. The only reason he is on that stage is because he was able to buy his way in. I consider him to be the poor man's Ross Perot. And Steyer claims he's an outsider, but he's really one of the elites. He's a billionaire. A billionaire with a B. However, over the time I've sort of started to like Steyer as a person, not exactly as a potential politician. He seems like a moral man and genuine. His performance was decent. I gotta give it to him. He's a good public speaker, but he really needs to stop staring at the camera. It honestly makes me uncomfortable. Also, his views on the Keystone Pipeline is dumb in my opinion. I've stated on this channel before about my views on pipelines, and some of you are gonna think I'm like a climate science deniist, or climate change deniist, or basically a corporate shrill. Look, even though I defend fracking and pipelines, I still love the environment and the outdoors in general. I like to refer to a quote by Theodore Roosevelt. I recognize the right and duty of this generation to develop and use the natural resources of our land, but I do not recognize the right to waste them or to rob by wasteful use the generations that come after us. In this country, we should be able to use the natural resources that we have, but we require agencies such as the EPA to keep these in check. I honestly think that the EPA should have a lot more power, but that's for another video. I like how Steyer was able to bring up the harsh economic sanctions we have against Iran when Iran was brought up during the debate. The only thing everyone else seemed to bring up was Orange Man bad. That's really their whole argument about Iran. In regards to Iranian sanctions, I like to compare it to Japan in 1941 actually. So after Japan invaded Manchuria, the United States placed economic sanctions with Japan, specifically in regards to oil. We were no longer allowed to sell them oil, and their lack of oil, which was necessary for the war that they were currently in, caused them to attack Pearl Harbor and declare war on the United States. Now, what we have going on today, it's not the exact situation that we have with Iran, but I like to draw similarities between the two, and I like to keep it in mind. Mark Twain said, "History does repeat itself, but sometimes it rhymes." Going back to Steyer, one of the mistakes Steyer made was that he values the climate crisis more than workers' wages and overall jobs. I quote climate crisis because I have doubts that it's actually a crisis, and again, I'll make that into another video. The fifth least worst was Bernie. He was able to deflect Warren's false accusations and CNN's obviously biased questions. CNN's questions sounded like this. Senator Sanders, why are you a terrible person? Oh, I am not a terrible person. Senator Warren, how do you feel about Bernie being a terrible person? Why, gee golly, I never thought you'd ask. When Bernie said that the Vietnam and Iraq wars were based on lies, that was pretty huge, I'm not gonna lie. After he said that, you could literally hear a needle drop in that room. And while he's not wrong, I'm not sure how well that settles with veterans, specifically Vietnam veterans. I'm not sure that they would like to be told their sacrifices were made in vain. Bernie's big mistake, I would say, was in regard to the new NAFTA deal. of which him and Klobuchar argued over. He focused more on how the bill didn't focus on climate change instead of actually focusing on how it negatively affects workers. In regards to climate change over workers, if you took a health or psychology class in either high school or college, you probably learned about Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Now, let's apply this to Bernie's message on climate change. I guarantee that if a worker cannot keep his job, of which he uses to provide him and his family with food and shelter, I honestly doubt that he'll care about the climate of, what the climate will look like 20 years from now. And Bernie, he did his little usually spiel about healthcare and such, and none of it was really memorable. The least worst was Joe Biden, I would say. He had minimal slip-ups and he was able to take advantage of the Bernie-Warren feud. In regards to his foreign policy when this was brought up, he seemed informed and educated on the situation in the Middle East, probably because of his 8 years of being vice president. And it was a lot better than Warren's response in the Middle East, which sounded based solely on emotion. And, he literally brought up Obama during the first 5 minutes of the debate, but what do you expect? So he did his usual spiel about Obama and the Affordable Care Act. It really wasn't memorable, but he looked like the least worst of the bunch. I'm not saying that he did a phenomenal job, but it wasn't as bad as Warren's. Again, this debate was god-awful. I honestly hope that the DNC never allows CNN to host another debate ever. This was terrible. Hashtag CNN is trash. Alright, thank you for listening, y'all. I hope this was a good episode. Hit that subscribe button and subscribe to my subreddit Political Academy. You can make as many posts on there as you want and maybe engage me in a debate because I'd like to check it often. If you want to leave any comments or have any reviews on the show, email me at politicalacademy20@gmail.com. Alright, have a good one, y'all.